Hello and welcome to another Helpdesk Hangout. Today we're going to be doing a site clinic. My name is Josh Baczynski. Hello. I'll be hosting today. I just worked out and so I'm all flushed. So my head's all red. That's the reason why I'm all flushed, but I'm not sure if my web camera can pick that up, probably. So anyway, today we're doing site clinics on Helpdesk Hangouts. I'll be hosting today. And before we do that, though, everyone should introduce themselves. And Baruch, if you want to start, go ahead.
Yes, I'm an international SEO agency, web design company located in Toronto.
Thank you very much, Baruch. Danny?
Hi, I'm Danny, and I'm generally interested in SEO.
Thank you, Danny. Short and sweet. Neil? Neil, do you mind introducing yourself if you have a mic?
I think you're muted, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Steve, do you mind introducing yourself for the watchers there?
I'm Steve. I'm a SEO enthusiast and just a freelance web developer in Alberta, Canada.
Perfect. Welcome, fellow Canadian. I'm in Victoria myself. And Neil says that he's a webmaster from the UK. And Neil actually submitted one of the sites to look at this week. So this week we'd like to do some site clinics. If anybody watching has any sites that they want us to take a look at and give some free SEO advice, we would be happy to take a look and give you our suggestions. Neil, if you the unmute button is at the top. It's the microphone at the top, sort of left-hand side, middle to left-hand side. If you want to unmute that, I don't know if your mic is working, but by all means, feel free to jump in. And this is the first time that I've hosted the Helpdesk Hangout with the actual admin password. And so I wasn't exactly sure how to make a Hangout on air for this thing. So that's why it's a couple minutes late. Maybe Kevin and Barry and some of the regular people will be able to find it at some point and join you.
But congratulations.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you there. Thank you very much. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take a look at some of these sites here. And I don't know if you guys have been taking a look at these sites, so I'll share the sites here so you guys can take a look. We have 2 sites submitted to take a look at so far. There's this site here, which we'd like some suggestions, and of course, we'll try and keep our suggestions as helpful but as polite as possible. And this second site here. So, Neil, do you mind typing in the chat if you mind if we show a screenshot of your site? He says okay. He says okie dokie. Okay, great. So then, with that in mind, let's take a quick look at it then. So here's the site here. You guys can all see that, correct?
No, it's the your Webmaster.
How about now?
No.
You should be able to see it. I'm presenting to everybody.
No, we're just seeing the logo.
I see London Theatre News.
Perfect. That's the site we should be looking at. Okay. Wonderful. So, so here's the site, LondonTheatre1.com. They wanted Neil here is on the call with us. And he wanted some suggestions. Does anybody want to start off with some webmaster suggestions for Neil?
Can you tell us what keywords you want to show up for?
So he'll type that in the chat. London Theatre News. Yeah, so this main page here he wants to rank for London Theatre News. Not too surprising, he has that keyword right here. In fact, he has a number of key phrases kind of in the title. The title itself, I don't know, can you guys see when I put them on the screen there, can you see it? Oh, look like you can, good. So his page title is this right here. His page title, the HTML title is the same as what I'm suggesting, it's probably a block level heading in here as well. So that's interesting. Does anybody else have any suggestions they want to make on the page before I get started?
On the first page, I would include a short paragraph that encompasses the keywords you want to show up for. Right now, there's only a menu, and then there's links to the inner pages. But if you want to be showing up, if you want your homepage to be showing up for keywords, you want to at least write 1 or 2 sentences, a description or an about paragraph about what it is that this site does at the top of the page.
That might be an idea. It looks like he's going directly for a just kind of a blog style or newspaper style. Here's the articles all right here at the top. No kind of disclaimer, no kind of opening paragraph.
Yeah, but if you want to show up for London theater tickets, I mean, I would include more than just having your H1 and your title tag have that. You want to have it in your in the body too a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would agree.
Something like, welcome to our website about London theater news, you know, and then you do variations on those keywords, write it in few different phrases, maybe even spell theater with an ER, just in case people search for it that way, although I'm sure Google can figure that out.
Yeah.
Just at least 1 or 2 sentences before you get into the links into the inner pages about it. I see at the top it says London Theater News - London Theater Tickets, and under that I would put a P tag that includes a description of what this website does.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd want. It's a tricky thing, right? Because you don't necessarily want to push down the main content that people are looking for, because anything below the fold is not going to get clicked as much. But at the same time, there's not a lot of text here to describe what the site is about.
I would change the entire theme completely, like whatever theme he's using there now. I would just make it even more user-friendly than what it is now.
It is a little basic, the design. It definitely could be.
Because I'll tell you why. I had a situation here in Toronto where one specific website, again, a very popular person, so they relaunched the site, but they went something like this, and the comments started pouring in, hey, nice GeoCities website, and so on and so on. No, I'm just saying, you know, the critics, and so and yeah, I mean, I would just change the theme. It would make such a big difference. And I've never seen a news place, you know, really specify their hours and their phone number on the left side.
The top left side, yeah. Well, I think it's a good idea. Every business should probably have their contact information and their address clearly listed to show if they're an upstanding business that can be contacted. I'm not sure if the important real estate of the top left-hand side is the best place to put it.
Yeah, that's your prime area. I mean, usually you would see.
It could go on maybe the right side of that header. It could go at the bottom in the footer. Also, one thing I want to mention is, so I think it's probably a little extreme to try and go for all these keywords on this one page. You know, it really, these days, you really only want to have one topic per page. He's got 3 keywords in the page title. He's got 3 keywords in the H1 here, and really, personally, I think it's overkill. Google these days, after the Hummingbird algorithm, knows the difference between unusual Xmas gifts and unusual Christmas gifts and weird Christmas gifts, or to be more on the point, Google knows the difference between people looking for London theater news and theater reviews or tickets. So, I mean, you might want to have separate pages on all these topics. Like, here's the page you get tickets. Here's the page where you give some theater reviews. Theater news, you know, is kind of the same as theater reviews, but I think it's a little excessive, maybe even a little bit spammy, personally, in my opinion, to try and hit those 3 keywords on this one page. What do you guys think about that?
100%. I mean, and Googlebot will understand who you are. I mean, you don't have to kind of, like you were saying, squeeze it too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would create a page for London theater news, and then a different page for London theater tickets, and then a different page for theater reviews. And then within each page, optimize content around those keyword phrases.
And then on top of like where the phone number is and all that, and the hours, I mean, of course, you can put it on the footer. You know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, but at the top, your main real estate, I would squeeze in, you know, the Google ads. I would squeeze it in on top. So you don't have to put it right in the left, but in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. That search field is taking way too much space. It can be reduced significantly. And I would put a logo on the top left, something eye-catching. It's kind of boring to look at white text on black background.
Yeah, as I said, I personally think the design needs to be spruced up a little bit. Neil, I hope you don't mind us saying that.
How do you make money, Neil?
Neil's going to type. He says all comments are taken on board. Well, thank you very much. He sells tickets. So I guess you are kind of a standard review site and then sell the tickets off the reviews? He's typing. Well, he's typing to answer that.
And then also, like the search to find theater tickets, I would really take it off the left side, the nav or whatever, and I would move it towards the center of the website, where you want to make the users, of course, scroll all the way to the bottom, but you really want them to have fun with that, finding the tickets.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there, Brooke. Left to right English readers or any Latin readers are not really going to be able to see this section very well because it's on the left side. They're either going to skip right over it and go to this stuff over here on the right side. You might have a much better click-through rate and much better conversion if you moved this stuff over here and put it down here somewhere on the bottom right-hand side, or maybe even floating on in a right column as opposed to a left column. That will probably increase your click-through rate and probably increase your conversions.
And then also take a look at if you really have any competitors in the UK. That's if you have any. I'm not sure you know who your competitors are, but in the theater area, maybe I would just take a look at the big boys as well, like like Ticketmaster and all the ticket places, and think of what you can do better than those guys.
Can I just add something?
Please.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, the site is really aggressive on the phrase theater tickets, and I noticed when you click on the tickets link at the top that the title is actually London Theatre News - London West End Tickets. I would really focus your, get your keyword focus for the tickets page as London Theatre Tickets, and be maybe slightly less aggressive on the front page, reusing those words, because I find that if you over-optimize two different pages on your site for the same phrase, Google sometimes doesn't rank you as high on that particular phrase because it's sort of like your two pages are sort of competing. It's not really sure, which page is relevant for somebody looking for tickets. So I would change the title on the tickets page to say London Theatre Tickets, and then maybe go, like you guys said, go less aggressive on keywords on the front page.
That's a really good point.
There's another thing I noticed here as well. So first off, I also noticed that you don't have a lot of shares on this page. Obviously, sharing is a good idea. If shares is one of the major conversions or call to actions you want someone to take, or actions you want someone to take on that page, then you really should have a floating right-hand social buttons where that floats with them that they can share it at any moment. One, that would really help your click-through rate. And
Josh, let me ask you this while you're talking about social. Do you think when it's an industry that doesn't have a lot of shares, or you've put the sharing buttons up and nobody's really sharing because it's just not content that people want to share, do you think it's just better to take it out altogether so it doesn't look pathetic with zeros and ones and twos?
That's a good question. In some cases, I'd say...
At what point do you give up and say, I'm not doing well in social, I should just give it up, and I don't want to... I mean, sometimes, like, I see some Facebook pages and they have like 100, 200 likes, and it's all their family and friends. So I'm going... And then every day they're sharing, oh, happy Friday. And then they're saying, happy 4th of July, or happy this. And it just gets really sad.
Yeah, true. Well, I think it's important to have social shares. I personally think it's a signal for Google ranking. It's definitely a traffic generator for you. You can get traffic from it. It definitely makes it look like it's a branding exercise for you. It definitely makes it look like there's something going on with your business. that you've got stuff going on. Obviously,
it's important even today if you're getting a job. That's how bad it is, right? So, you know.
How do you mean, Baruch, that for getting a job?
No, I'm saying it's important even of getting a job. I'm saying I talked to a recruiter.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant. We're not talking about jobs. We're talking about websites with pathetic social shares.
Yeah, I mean it's not for everybody, right? But I mean it depends. You should have some sort of share, like an add this, for instance, plugin if you're using a CMS or.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe if your numbers are low, you take out the counter, and you still have the sharing buttons, but you just take out the counter that shows 15.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I mean, if your shares are really low, you can always, heaven forbid, if you really need to look like you're important, you can buy a bunch of shares. I mean, that's a little bit underhanded, but it's not against anybody's rules, other than the social network in question. But obviously, it's always best to have content that is so awesome that people are sharing it. And it's a really good metric. If people are not sharing your content, then that really, a lot of people say, oh, don't worry about it, no one's gonna share it. I would take the opposite tact, and I would say that's an indication that your content's just not working, or it could be improved. That is the level that you need to go to. If no one's sharing it, then it really doesn't need to be on the website. And personally, that might be, depending on the industry, it differs, of course, but I would say that if no one's sharing it, then it really doesn't need to be there.
But I see some share counters on some pathetic product, like a machine screw. People will put the sharing buttons, and there'll be a counter of 0 or 1 or 2. And I'm going, no one's going to share a machine screw on Facebook. If you're a buyer of machine screws, you're not really excited about machine screws.
Yeah.
So take it out altogether. It seems like whoever put the website together is just missing the point sometimes.
Well, I don't know if he's missing the point, but he's definitely here to get some helpful suggestions, so that's what we'll provide. Yeah. So in this case,
no offense to Neil. I'm just saying that sometimes some content is just not made for sharing. It's just not everything is suitable for social.
True, that's true. So let's take another look at this. So you might want to. I mean, Neil says in the chat that this is one of his newer articles, so that could be the reason why it has such low shares. Fair enough. Maybe you might want to remove the counters until it has some impressive shares. Maybe I don't know, over 8 or 10 or whatever is impressive for your industry. Another thing is I always like to have as few clicks as possible. Here's a rant that I like to give on a regular basis: is that everyone speaks poorly of the affiliate markets and of online marketers in general, but we really could learn a lot of lessons from the affiliate markets and from online marketers in a number of ways. Not only the call to actions, not only in the left to right design psychology of where to put your call to action and make a big button that people will click. It really does increase your click-through rate. But not only that, but in your social buttons as well. For example, these social buttons that you hover over and you get a bunch of options, you have to click again and again and again. You want as few clicks as possible to actually get the desired action. For example, on my site, The Moral Concept, I specifically had some buttons programmed that it's 1 click or maximum 2 clicks to share. 1 click to get the interface up and 1 click to share it after you write the tweet. So it really should be very, very fast. It should be 1 click if possible, 2 clicks maximum to share it. Otherwise, you are going to have click bleed. You are going to have people who are not going to share it. And then what's the point of having the buttons there if they're not going to share? Last thing I was going to mention is down here. I also noticed there's no comments. There is some controversy going on right now. Too bad Barry's not here. I could have bugged him about it. But there is some controversy going on right now about comments, and that Google has mentioned specifically that if you don't have any good comments, that's a bad signal for your page, because good comments tell Google that it's a good page. So again, you can look into getting fake comments and fake social, but that really is a foolish kind of thing to do, except for very specific circumstances. Or I'd be very careful doing that anyway. Let's put it that way. It really would be better, again, to produce content that is the kind that people are going to want to comment on and share. And again, Neil, I know you know this, and you're saying in the chat, yeah, some of the articles are only a few hours old. They've just been posted today. Fair enough. Fair enough. We're not picking on you at all. We're just mentioning things that some of which you probably already know. And he says no problem. Does anybody else have any suggestions about what's going on this page here? Let's look at the HTML code. I'll stop sharing this, and I will look at the HTML code here. Does anybody else have any other suggestions? I see that he's using WordPress. He's got the Yoast plugin installed. So if I look for the title attribute, okay, so let me share this screen and show you guys. So we're actually, how do you like this for the Webmaster Helpdesk Hangout? We're actually going to get into HTML. So I search for the title tag, and I notice that he's got 8. It doesn't look that bad, and it's stuffing a few keywords in here like Soho Theater in the title attribute, but it's not that bad, not that big of a deal. So if I change to alt, the alt attribute, for example, he's only got 4, and I notice that, again, he has London Theatre tickets stuffed in there. Yeah, so given that your domain name is London Theatre Ticket, or London Theatre, and you've got London Theatre tickets inside of the alt and the title attribute a couple times, it's not that bad, definitely, compared to a number of other websites I look at. I look at hundreds of websites a year, and so I see a lot of websites, mostly that are all doing very badly, very poorly, because otherwise they wouldn't come to me for an audit. And let me just say that your site's doing better from what I can see here. I'd have to look at your statistics. Of course, the statistics are the most important. Yeah, Neil says, Yoast, Josh's favorite plugin. He's probably heard this rant from me before. The Google Analytics and Webmaster tools is a very important tool. They're free. There's no reason not to install them. In fact, if you don't have Webmaster tools installed, you can't diagnose some very important SEO issues, such as manual penalties from Google. You're not going to rank very well in Google if you have manual penalties from them, and you have no way of knowing that unless you have Webmaster tools installed. And so I would seriously consider installing Webmaster tools in Google Analytics if you haven't already. And yeah, and so that would be the best way to do an analysis, but my point is that that level of title attributes and that level of alt attributes doesn't look that bad to me, at least on that page I looked at. Does anybody have any final recommendations here for Neil?
I would just say, just think about, like Josh said, a few keywords that you want each page to rank for. You got to think about, okay, this page is gonna. I want users who show up who search for these words to only be directed to this page. You don't want the pages competing with each other, like somebody else said. So that might mean consolidating some content, or maybe separating out some content into different pages, and really thinking about optimizing what sentences and phrases and paragraphs you write around those keywords themselves, and not diluting your rank by spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah, I just reviewed a couple of pages further to my comments earlier. Like I would suggest that he do a parameter search in Google and just go tickets and then site : his domain name and see which pages rank first and try and consolidate those into one page. Like when I do that on a site, I get the tickets page that he's linked at the top, but I also get news/category/tickets, and then he's got a pager on there, and there's 3 different pages. Each have only about 4 posts each, so that could all be consolidated into one page called tickets, and just have everything on that tickets page and just see how that performs.
Fantastic. Thanks, Steve. Okay. So we have another site here that someone was submitted for us to take a look at. They're not here on the call, so I hope well, they publicly posted it, so I guess they don't mind for us publicly looking at it. So it's called My Pro Lock, and I'll share the screen here to look at it. So here it is here. So obviously it's a locksmith site. It's too bad Baruch just had to leave, because I know that he works a lot in the locksmith niche. up in Toronto at the very least. So here is the locksmith site. At first glance, it doesn't look too bad. What do you guys think?
That hero logo is way too big. It's taking up way too much real estate. Push it off to the left. I would also try to make it more of a corporate-looking site. So, definitely get away from the Gmail address. That looks too mom and poppy. Use your domain email address. Maybe make that image of that locksmith bigger if that's going to be your primary. There's some grammatical mistakes. 24-hour expert locksmith only a phone call away. You want to put some periods or semicolons.
I'd put the geographic location higher up on the page, so when I land on this page, I know what area it's serving. Like I see it's down there, local emergency locksmith for Memphis. I would just bump that up, maybe even above the photo. And I'd also just click on the photo. It opens a JPEG if you click on his picture there. I'd get rid of that link.
Yeah, definitely want to get rid of that link. That's looks like his WordPress just does that automatically. Another reason why I love WordPress. That was sarcasm. FYI, that was sarcasm. I'm not too fond of WordPress personally, but oh yeah, these are some pretty good suggestions. He's got some shares.
Oh, a lot of colors in that one paragraph.
There is a lot of colors in that one paragraph. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That will guide the eye. In fact, quite frankly, I first saw this picture when I looked, and then I saw this paragraph is exactly what my eye went to. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. You always have to weigh your brand personality and how you're coming off with the client versus drawing their eyes to exactly what action you want them to take. So it's always a tension between those two different areas.
Yeah, with a website like this, when you think about different pages that they have, it's kind of tough thinking about how do you create different content for the different pages, each of which can rank on its own. I mean, how much can you say about locksmith? Oh, I see one about auto. So maybe one page is about auto, one page is about home. I mean, some of it starts looking very, very redundant and duplicative.
Yeah, that's another really good point, Danny. On the one end, Google likes text, and a lot of people feel that they are pushed into kind of a situation where they need to be the best magazine on locksmithing. Every site needs to be the best information site on their topic. And on the other hand, some people just want to have a brochure site and a very quick, very efficient. Here I am. Click here to get my phone call. Click here. This is who I am. I'm this guy. I do this. Call me. That kind of a deal. I'm of two minds about it personally. To tell you the truth, on a local site like this, it's too bad Kevin's not here because he does local exclusively, or not exclusively, but I know he does quite a bit of local. He specializes in it. Personally, I would say that you don't necessarily need to have a bunch of different text explaining what you're doing, because quite frankly, who is going to read it? People come into this site, they just want to hire a locksmith. They don't necessarily want to read a dissertation about locksmithing. Now, I could be wrong, and the ultimate arbiter for that, of course, the ultimate arbiter always would be your statistics, would be your Google Analytics. If the users come into this site, love that content, and find it very interesting, well, then great. Then you should have it there.
How would your analytics tell you that they're reading the content about the text on the page? How would the analytics tell you that they're reading the content?
Well, that's a good question. You can tell by how long they stay there, how many people exit. Ultimately, you need to add in some extra code into Google Analytics to tell how long people actually stay there for sure. Here's actually a really good thing we could probably mention to people. Google Analytics, as a straight install, does not give you a realistic sense of the time people are on the page. It only triggers the time based on who stays on the site. If someone leaves the site, you'll never know. So for example, if someone goes to a starting page, reads it for 5 seconds or a minute, but then leaves, that'll be counted as an exit or a drop-off. But you'll never know if they stayed there for 5 seconds and then so conceivably they were unsatisfied with the content, unless it's a lottery site or a weather site. Or you'll never know if they stayed for 5 minutes and they loved the content, and they got everything they were looking for, and they're perfectly satisfied and they went away satisfied. That is crucial, in my opinion, that is crucial for SEO. And so how do you fix that? Well, what you do is you go into Google Analytics and you set an event, call it whatever you like, and you have to obviously get somebody who knows how to do JavaScript to do this for you. You set an event every 15 seconds to fire. And so then you can tell, on average, how many of those events fired, and you can tell, on average, how many 15-second intervals people stayed, even if they left the site. And so that way you get a much more realistic bounce rate for your site. You can tell, okay, oh, people are coming to my site, but they're bouncing under 15 seconds, 80% of them. That's bad. Presumably they didn't read the article. Presumably they were annoyed. Presumably they might have even selected another result. That's not good for your marketing. It's not good for your branding. That's not good for conversion. It's not good for sales, and that's not good for SEO. But if you can tell if they stayed 30 or 45 seconds, then you know, okay, then they're probably satisfied, and that you have a much better idea that that page is fulfilling its function for your website.
Josh, instead of having that JavaScript trigger, what if you just set a time goal for a time goal for each page? Wouldn't that accomplish the same thing?
You know, I've never played with time goals. It might. We'd have to play with it and look around at it. I always set an event for 15 seconds or 5 seconds, depending on the site and how many times I want to trigger that event. But timed goals might work. Yeah, you have to have the new analytics installed for that, correct? That was a question, correct? Yeah, I think you would.
I always have the newest analytics, so I don't know.
you always have the newest, greatest stuff. Okay, so let's look back at this site here. There's a couple other things that we could mention. So not only that, but if you want to take a look, let's look at the blog here, because I'm worried. So this is going back to the comment I made about how much content do you need on a local site? Do you really need to have a blog for your local site? And I would say if people are loving this content, then it's great, and you can get long-tail keyword rankings for blog, of course. But the problem is that blog posts can be panda food, and if people are not loving these articles, then it can be definitely a panda problem for you. So you need to keep a close eye on your user metrics to make sure that people love these articles. Does anyone have any other suggestions for?
Just on the blog point, I do almost exclusively local. Like if he could come up with some local interest stories, like maybe somebody's car gets broken into, or he hears stories while he's out and about. Those types of blogs would be much more effective for a local site, because you're going to get local interest. People are going to say, oh, I know that guy, or I know about that story, or I saw that in the newspaper, or whatever. So rather than making it about locksmith, maybe just pivot and do something related to, vehicles or doors or whatever.
Or Memphis.
Local stories, yeah, Memphis-based kind of articles that a locksmith would encounter in his daily life.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. I mean this is some content that is shared by Moz quite a bit. So this is Moz's content. I thank Moz for providing this publicly. But I mean this is kind of, you have to make sure your content you have a check mark in all these boxes. You want to make sure it's one of a kind, that appears nowhere else in the web, that has some value, that it's relevant for some group, that it's helpful, that it's uniquely valuable, again, for some group. You have to have a great user experience. And finally, the point that I'm trying to make is that it's likely to spread. The question is, who is going to amplify this content and why? if you don't have someone who's going to amplify this content, then it probably is not a good idea to have it on the site. And another thing I like that he's doing here is, I'll tell you one thing I do like about this blog post, is that he does have his call to action right at the top here. In a block quote, he does have his phone number, so that people just want to call him, or they've, it's always good psychologically to have that in their mind. So that's a really good thing. I would really congratulate this person for. It's not a bad thing at all to have your contact information front and center. In fact, he should probably have it down here on the right side. He should probably have his phone number right here underneath his logo. It should be on every single page. What do you guys think about that?
Say that again.
I think he should have his phone number probably under the logo here, maybe on the right-hand side. But I definitely congratulate him for having it here in the top block quote.
Definitely want to have it at the top of each page.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic.
And I like his. Sorry, I just like his natural photos. Like, I hate the stock photos of, a guy opening a lock. I like that looks like it's actually him. And so I would, if he wanted to put that on every page, I would, just to get that face recognition. And, you feel like it's a local guy. You don't feel like you landed on a auto-generated site. Yeah.
I would agree. I did like that quite a bit. And I also noticed he had a lot of content in that blog page. You get a lot of content in this blog page here, and down here I could tell, I don't know what it is, if it's a sock puppet or what it is, some kind of finger puppet, but he did have, it looks like, I don't know what this is, it's mildly frightening, but it looks like he has some kind of commercial, and he put it up here. I don't know how many shares this commercial got. I don't even want to press play on live on the Hangout, obviously, but I think it's really good that he's going for some kind of viral video content. So any kind of content that might possibly go viral, I think is a great thing. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is that I noticed that he has a lot of keyword spam in his HTML. I don't know what is putting this in here, but you do not need to have title attributes. The title attribute is a bit of code that goes in the anchor tag, or it can go in the image tag, and you do not need a lot of content management systems and so-called SEO plugins for these content management systems will plug in these keywords into your HTML. And Google has specifically mentioned, John Mueller specifically mentioned, this is a direct no-no, that this is a Panda problem. You do not want to stuff these keywords into the HTML. Keywords like this, and commercial locksmith, and residential locksmith in Memphis, Tennessee. You definitely want to remove stuff like that. Okay, hey Barry. We are joined by Barry Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz, what do you have to say?
Why didn't you wait for me?
I emailed you. I texted you. I shouted at my window, Barry, come join us. So how you doing today, Barry?
All right.
That's good. How is the weather in New York?
Not bad. It's supposed to be pretty cold later, but it's all right.
Well, the weather in Victoria is beautiful, so that's all I'll say. It's sunny. It's about 75, 80 degrees out. I'll just rub that in. Okay. So, so does anyone else have any suggestions for this locksmith site? Do you think the design should be improved or enhanced in any way? Personally, I think the design looks okay. I don't think it's that bad. And again, before going and spending a couple grand on a new design, it might be just a good idea to look into his analytics, make sure he has that installed first, and see how the users are enjoying the site. If the users are enjoying the site just fine, and they're finding the contact information, and they're making calls, and he's getting calls, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. He wants calls. He wants to make some money from his website. He wants calls coming back in. If he's getting those calls, then he doesn't need to spend any more money on the design. But if he's not, if people are looking at it and going, they're not really sure, then that's when you might want to consider spending some more money on getting another design.
One other thing similar to the last site we reviewed, I would just double check those that site colon search, and I noticed a bunch of tag pages, and they're all, like you said, WordPress does a lot of funny things. It creates a bunch of like blank tag pages. I would either get rid of those or make a canonical to one single category page, or just have them redirect to maybe not the front page, but another sub page, or just get rid of the tags completely, because those blank tag pages could pandify you.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that now. I'm doing the same site search. I can share that just in case people don't know what that is. So you see I did the site colon search up here for the website. And yeah, we see my prologue. He's got a good meta description here. Call now. That's good. You know, a good call to action. You definitely want that. But down here at the bottom here, I do notice he does have some tag pages here, category, uncategorized. And if we take a look, if we start searching through the screens, I'm sure we're going to see more there. So that might be a good idea to make sure that is not on the site. Another thing I notice here is, yes, some user-generated content. It's not a good idea to have user-generated content. You have to keep a very close eye on that to make sure that it's not spammy content, it's not negative content, that it's all above board. So that might be another really good idea to keep an eye on. Finally, this number up here, a lot of people get concerned about this number up here. For example, they see it says 89 results and they think there should be 800 results. Or they see it says 89 results, but they only have 5 pages on their site. This number, Google has told us a few times, is only an approximate. It is not it's not a definite number. It is only an approximate. So don't be concerned at all if you see some strange numbers up in the site colon search. Do you guys have any final suggestions for the Memphis locksmith site? If you don't, then let's open it up to you guys. What questions do you have? What kind of things you guys seen going on in the SEO sphere right now? Tumbleweeds, nothing. Okay, well, nothing's going on in the SEO space right now. Okay, well, then I can keep looking at these sites and make some more suggestions.
I posted a site in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, so hyper-local classified site / job board for Alberta. And do you mind if we take a look at this publicly, Steve?
Not at all.
Okie doke.
Go easy on me, though.
Of course, no problem.
Is this your business, Steve?
Pardon me?
Is this your business?
It is, yep.
Okay, so here we are. Okay, so it is an Alberta Classifieds and Job Bank. There's going to be a lot of jobs here for the rigs, I imagine, somewhere around here. Oh.
Yeah, the job link is at the top. This is a new theme that I just implemented in December during kind of a low time. I do want to change the front page to basically, you know, just show my 5 categories like buy and sell, job, search. So the front page won't necessarily be this category landing page. I just made it that for right now, just to sort of see which categories kind of floated to the top.
I see. So is it automatically selecting the categories, like prioritizing the categories that people click on, or are you watching it manually?
A little bit of both. It does cut the categories off if they don't have very much recent classifieds in them.
Oh, okay.
And then I do manually manipulate that list, and each of those sort of bolded categories, those are sort of the main headings. Just above that, you'll see real estate and rentals.
Yes.
So if you click on real estate and rentals, you know, that's the sort of optimized page, and then you can see the subcategories from there, and it's just kind of a recent feed of ads.
Yeah.
How do you make money?
I do fairly well with AdSense. It's a little complicated. When I first launched TownPost, what I did was I made individual sites by town. So I picked like 5 towns near me, and I created a separate domain for each one. And then what TownPost did was I used sort of a RSS. You gotta boot somebody out of the chat there.
Oh boy.
Anyways,
Josh,
so
do
how
you
did,
see that?
thanks. Yeah, so anyways, so each community actually, and I still have this where some communities have their own sites, and when they post, say in Grand Prairie, on the Grand Prairie Post, the ad would flow over to TownPost. So what TownPost did was it aggregated all the ads from all those various communities. And so I started very hyper-local at first, and now you can post directly on TownPost. So originally, TownPost was just an aggregate site of all my various communities, and now I've kind of got enough momentum that I can create like an Alberta-wide site, but I still have actual individual advertisers in the various communities that I serve.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, I would say that you need to check your analytics again to see how people are receiving this page. It is, of course, very sterile. I know you're just doing a test right now, so you just want to watch that, of course. And if you have something like this, like look at this here, these clearly are the most interesting ones for your users. They have the most, well, at least they have the most options anyway.
Right.
Are these the most interesting? Is this what people are looking for under this category, or are they looking for acreages?
Actually, the ones you've highlighted, acreages and businesses for sale, so those 5 would be probably the primary ones.
Right. So I would recommend whatever your most popular items are, whatever people are looking for the most, I would recommend you moving those to the top left to make sure they get the most clicks.
Okay.
Otherwise, let's look here at maybe the jobs.
The two bullet points at the bottom. How come you put them at the bottom instead of at the top? It's kind of buried down there.
These ones here?
No, the 2 bullet points at the bottom.
Oh, these ones here.
What's Kijiji, Alberta?
Oh, well, Kijiji is
that your competitor?
It'd be like the Craigslist of Canada.
Yeah.
So have you thought about putting that at the top so it's not buried all the way at the bottom? Because I didn't even see it at first.
Yeah, I have thought about it. I didn't know how aggressive. What do you guys think about sort of using a competitor's name that aggressively, though?
Well, you want to sell your product above the fold, and I mean this is enticing information. These bullet points, I'd want to see it right at the top.
Yeah, this is your sales value. This is what are called sales value propositions, or SVPs. This is what makes people think you have value, that you're a good thing. You might want to take this information here, the fact that you're quicker and easier and all that stuff, and maybe put it here on the right-hand side. That might be a good idea, or maybe make a section here where you can put that information. Again, we're just giving suggestions. I know you said this page is in flux. You're changing it.
And it might be nice to go to have a sidebar on the right with some useful information. I mean, it seems like a lot of real estate is going to the links, but you could highlight some different things in the sidebar and kind of keep the page more interesting by putting something on the right-hand side, a right side column that includes links, images, photos. Definitely graphically spruce up the page. It's kind of way too much text. It's some images or some graphics or some more color or something to make it a little less like a chart or table.
Okay.
I mean, I know Craigslist is really boring, but Craigslist is Craigslist. So I think for you, adding even stock images or something, a good-looking woman or something to capture their attention would be good for design.
Yeah, of course, having a new modern design, a really beautiful design, always helps. And photos are always of models, and really good, nice photos are always important for a really nice-looking design. Another thing, which is a little bone of contention for me, is I noticed that a lot of your items here, your houses for rent and your jobs, for example, they don't have an image. I don't know. This no image gets a little repetitive and kind of starts to dominate the design a little bit. It's just a little nitpicky thing, but you might want to consider not having an image or having it much smaller or having a stock image or something like that. I'm not really sure. Do you have any other specific questions that you want us to take a look at or address?
How are you doing in search?
Not offhand. I would say I'm doing fairly well in comparison to the people in this space. Like really the only company I find I lose to consistently is Kijiji.
What offsite techniques are you using to improve the rankings?
Like in terms of
non-social ways.
Well, I'm a member of a lot of different various chambers of commerce and yellow pages. I do a lot. I do a lot with social, sort of manually. Each ad that gets posted, I sort of again re-aggregate that information and publish it to various, say, Facebook pages. So I've got a Facebook page for all of my main communities that I serve. Like he's looking at Whitecourt, Westlock, Barhead. I would have a Facebook page for each of those communities, and my site automatically posts the most interesting ads to those various communities. And like in Slave Lake, for instance, it's a town of maybe 6,800 people. I have 1,500 followers on Facebook. So every post that someone makes under Slave Lake, it goes out to those 1,400 or 1,500 people. And I also I ban people from my Facebook pages that aren't local. So that's 14 none of those people are from other countries or anything. I ban all those people.
That's probably good. So I notice here that you do have really good social or pretty good social metrics here on the site. It could be a little bit better. But at least you have some social metrics. That's better than not. You've got a lot of backlinks. Well, you have a lot of backlinks, but only 85 domains in total linking to you. Again, not sure how much of that is in follow or no follow or paid or not paid, but that might be something to look at. And I also notice here that your Facebook does have your Facebook page. Is this your Facebook page here?
That's one of the main. Yeah, it's the main site page.
Temples.ca. Yeah, it looks like it. You do have 771 likes on your Facebook page, so that's another good sign as well. So, fantastic. Okay, well, it's about that time, folks. Thanks very much for dropping in, you guys. Thanks for submitting your sites, and thanks for giving your free suggestions to these folks. Really quick before we go, do you guys have any final questions for us before we sign off? Neil says, thanks, guys. No problem, Neil. The person I ejected says, I'm a loser. We knew that already. All right, fantastic. Well, thanks very much, guys.
Where's the gang today?
I don't know. I guess they heard that we're doing site clinics and no one wants to do any work. They do enough work, and so we're giving away free work here, and maybe they didn't want to join in. Actually, it's probably my fault. I started a Hangout, but it wasn't a Hangout on air. It's the first time I've had the admin access to the account, and so I take full blame. I take full responsibility. It was probably all my fault. All right, well, thanks very much, guys, for joining in. Join us next week on Helpdesk Hangouts for more Helpdesk questions and more free help. And if you have any other questions, you want to get in contact with us, my name is Josh Brzezinski. You can look me up online, and you can look up any of these fine folks online and ask us a question. So thanks very much, and say bye, guys.
Thanks. See ya.
See you later.